firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
We've made it to a football Friday. The sun was out this morning, and we've got
saw
football.
a little bit of sun.
That's right. The sun still exists.
I got a little bit of like a red in the face from my run this morning, although that's probably just a natural tendency and says more about me than it does the weather. But at the same
I
time,
think everyone who runs gets a red face.
yeah, but I stayed like red for like hours for a while. So I was like, oh, the sun. And I'm just going to keep telling myself that, yes, I got color from the sun for the first time in 2 weeks.
Do you run with a hat on?
Yes.
Okay, so that should help at least a little bit. Yeah, it was. I took the dog for a walk this morning. I almost tweeted breaking news. The sun is out.
Oh, I was trying to find the right gif of like, I didn't want to make it like my eyes are burning because I want the sun. I want to embrace it. But my goodness, what a foreign concept after the last 2 weeks.
This is how Seattle feels all the time.
Literally.
That's the thing. Like London, Seattle, I don't understand. They literally have that seasonal affective disorder, and I don't understand how people can
Do it all
deal
the time.
with this where it's gloomy. Even if it's not actually pouring down rain, which it has done a lot here, but either way.
Well, that's the interesting part is when I was in college, because of course people come from all over the country to go to Ithaca. Like two of my roommates were from Texas, Oklahoma, where the sun shines much of the year. And so they actually said to them as part of like their orientation onboarding, we have a seasonal temperature room. So like, you know, when we go 20 straight days of snow and you don't see the sun, you can come into this room and it's like natural created sunlight. So you feel the sensation.
That's kind of crazy.
And I legit have thought about it over the last 2 weeks. I'm like, man, I could really use one of those sunrooms right now because I feel like we haven't seen it. And I feel like I'm either stuck in the polar vortex in the Midwest or just the dreariness of the northeastern United States.
It's been a deluge pretty much every day, but it feels like we're getting close to the end of it, maybe in the next week or so, and then we'll go back to our sunshine. But that's when you do appreciate that we are the sunshine state is when you have to go through stuff like this. All right.
Does this sunshine indicate our Sunday?
Exactly. Well
The
said,
light shining?
Taylor.
I would hope so when it comes to
That's the
Jaguars
spirit.
against the Browns. The problem is I think it's going to rain on Sunday.
I know it's back.
No, it's supposed to be cloudy, I saw. I mean, look, there's always a chance of rain. That's the
I
nature.
see a 55% chance.
Okay, well, as Taylor and I have printed up on our
Next Friday, I see sunshine.
There you
in
go.
our giant chalkboard in our office, we have the Kyle Shanahan quote of "We are all day to day." So listen, there's always a chance of some rain, but it's how you respond to the rain, Lauren. That's what makes the difference in each day.
Well, I think that as long as you have a rain jacket and an umbrella, you can respond just fine and make sure you're wearing the proper shoes.
I don't know. I still got drenched yesterday, even with both. But continue.
All right, let's talk about the football game that happened last night as the Bills easily defeated the Dolphins 31-10. Of course, that's not the biggest storyline. That would be the fact that Tua Tagovailoa suffered his third concussion in his 5-year career. And he did it in a manner in which, while watching, you thought, why wouldn't you just slide at that point in time? But either way, now he's at a point where he's going to miss, I would guess, a couple weeks. I would guess that he's not going to play in the next 2 weeks. That's just from what I'm reading between the lines as far as what Mike McDaniel is saying. Of course, people are wondering if he's going to retire. Mike McDaniel doesn't even want people talking about that. But I think that's a natural question when you have someone who has had to really put on display just how bad these concussions can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so hard because like I went back this morning and I looked through the timeline of that 2022 season where he suffers the concussion against the Bills, ironically enough, came back into that game. A week later, suffers another concussion to the Cincinnati Bengals, comes back 2.5 weeks later, and then suffered a final injury about a month, or final concussion a month later, and then was shut down for the year. And like, I don't know about you, Lauren, but when I was going through playing high school sports and the high school sports physical, and just by nature of playing goalie, like they ran through with me, like, hey, if you get 5 concussions, like once you hit your 5th concussion in your high school career, you're done in the state of New Jersey. Like you are medically retired. You're not allowed to play anymore, which is, of course, and football, you know, former football players can empathize with this. You know, you don't report it. Like it's that simple. And so that's the scary part about this is, have there been other concussions that have gone unreported with regards to Tua Tagovailoa? Because don't forget, he also suffered a concussion on the devastating injury that ended his college career.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we even saw the one where everyone was speculating that, I think it was 2 years ago now, where he was kind of like woozy on the field, not walking right, and then he kept playing. And so they said they cleared him and he didn't, but those are moments where it is scary because in this situation, it wasn't even like a helmet to helmet or some big collision in that way, which is usually where you see it happen. It was DeMar's forearm that he hit with his head, and that gave him a concussion. Granted, you're running pretty full speed, and he had his head down at a kind of weird angle too, and that's what in our text thread that we have here, it was like, DeMar Hamlin made the tackle. I was like, not really. Tua kind of just ran straight into him. And at those moments too, it has to be, number one, scary for the teammates, for Mike McDaniel, for Tua's family, everything. But in the same light, it's how many times and how many conversations have they probably had with Tua? Like, you can't do that. You can't keep doing this. This is now a long history of concussions, and you obviously are more prone than maybe some other people. So you've got to take extra precautions when it comes to those situations.
It's just scary because when we talk about all the other injuries, there's pretty much a treatment plan to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
And with concussions, sometimes
like,
it takes, like we saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. several years back when he suffered a concussion. He had to be in a dark room for weeks on end before he could even emerge back into the natural daylight.
I have a childhood friend had to medically retire collegiate soccer player and had to spend the next year and a half in those dark rooms.
My cousin went through one too, and she played softball, and
it's real.
And that's the thing. Like, if you're the reason people talk about a potential early retirement is you can replace a knee, you can replace a hip, you can have surgery and fix the UCL as far as Tommy John surgery is concerned. Your brain, you only get one your entire life. Same pretty much with your eyes too. But once that gets affected, you have to wonder, do I want to live the rest of my life with potential issues?
Yeah.
And that's why that conversation comes up. And that's why someone like Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Famer, says, I think he should consider it. He's a father and he's a husband. And what do you want for the rest of your life?
Yeah, because we've also seen, and the concussions are scary, but we've also seen the extreme situations that happen when you get CTE too. We've seen the ones where the guys kind of lose their minds because your brain honestly turns into something that is completely foreign to what your body's used to. And we've seen tragic things happen because of it. So I do think it's a conversation that really has to be had. And I mean, look at Andrew Luck. Like, he came to the point where he was like, my life and like my family and my happiness and living like a full and aware life is more important than football.
Yeah, you're in your 20s. You shouldn't constantly be on a scooter or be in a dark room.
But now, if you were to ask Andrew Luck 5 years since his retirement, does he regret it? I don't think he does from that perspective, Taylor. Mm-hmm. But in all the exposés I've read about
like
Andrew
missing
Luck,
the football side,
where he misses the camaraderie, he misses the team. And that's something that Leroy Butler talked about on our program. He's talked about on Primetime, on all of his programs up in Wisconsin, of course, the pride here of Jacksonville. Leroy and I have talked about it. He believes that every player who is on the verge of retirement, whether it is in the next 2 months or in the next 2 to 3 years, they should be seeing some sort of therapist or some sort of life coach to help them prepare for that life
transition
outside of football.
outside.
Because to that point, I can understand where for Andrew Luck, physically, mentally, he has a young daughter. He's like, I have to retire because I want to live the rest of my life and I want to have my wits about me. But then losing that quote unquote part of your soul, even if your identity isn't firmly based in my identity as a football player, which I don't think Andrew Luck ever had that issue. Yeah. But at the same time, not having the team or what's next, that is where you mess up with your brain just as much if you don't have what is next right in front of you. And you're not supposed to have all the answers right away, but at the very least, the NFL should be finding ways. And that's why Leroy has, preached therapy and preached having NFLPA support groups that can help you in that transition, because to just cut the cord completely, that's not healthy either.
That's why the military does have that type of stuff in place, because it is really hard to transition
out of,
when you're surrounded by your brothers, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then you go into life on your own. As far as the Jaguars-Browns game, since we're talking about injuries, Darnell Savage likely out this upcoming Sunday against the Cleveland Browns because of the hamstring injury he suffered in practice yesterday. We already know Tyson Campbell placed on IR. So it looks to me like we'll see a lot of Buster Brown in place of Tyson, and we'll see a lot of Jarian Jones in place of Darnell Savage. But I wouldn't be surprised if they end up mixing some stuff up. Trey Flowers, DeAndre Prince, the rookie.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, the boys that come on the air right after us, XL Primetime, were stumping for Trey Flowers to make the 53-man roster once upon a time. Coach Campo, of course, a legendary defensive backs coach in the National Football League, very high on Flowers throughout training camp. He's been a member of the practice squad. He knows the defense, so don't expect, there to be that much of a learning curve there. What I'm really curious, and Doug was very tongue-in-cheek when I asked him about it on Wednesday, and this was before Darnell Savage with the quad injury really crept up. I asked him about, with Tyson potentially going on IR, which now he has, who was the next man up? And, of course, he's like, oh, it's just a trick question.
Yeah.
Because the logical answer, and, of course, he answered as such, is Buster Brown, who has been his backup now each of the past 2 seasons. But can you deny the fact that Jarian Jones was able to keep up with Tyreek Hill? But now if you're expected to go without Darnell Savage, do you say, well, now Jarian becomes the nickel, so now he's not going to play outside? I expect Ryan Nielsen to try a whole host of combinations, which I know there are those of you out there that aren't in that camp either, because it's like, oh no, what do you mean? We need to have a firm consistency and continuity between the defense. But I think his goal, especially here in September, is to, number one, keep guys fresh, but number two, to also create opportunities for players to prove, hey, if someone else is to go down in November, I am ready because I've had playing time in September and I can step up to that moment.
Yeah, the thing that I heard Jeff Lageman talking yesterday, and he said his biggest concern is that, number one, the defense is going to have to do different things against the Browns than they had to do in Miami. He thinks they'll have to be in a lot more nickel, which obviously is affected. You're not as concerned about that outside as you were last week when you have obviously Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And so he said that is a big concern for him, because somebody who is that true nickel, now you do have to mix stuff around and figure out, okay, who's going to be your nickel and who plays the best at that nickel spot, because that is going to be such an important position in this game. So it will be, I think we'll see a lot of mix around. I really do, just because I think they're going to be trying to figure it out. It is unfortunate. I mean, this is a lot of the reason that I had extra guys in my secondary, because I feel like the last couple years that's what's gotten beat up is the secondary. So it would have been nice to maybe have some of the guys that on that 53-man that you're not having to shuffle and move up, and they were actually practicing with on the 53-man roster and had some game time last week. But I do think that we've seen enough between practice, between training camp, between preseason, that these guys can make plays. We know everybody in the secondary. There's a reason that it was kind of difficult to make this 53-man back there, because guys had really proven themselves. But it is a different test. It's when you don't have Tyson Campbell and now Savage, who was supposed to be a big part of this mix. It's a little concerning.
Yeah, if you had Savage, then you could move Antonio Johnson around, and you could have him at the nickel and have Savage at the safety. But without having him, that I feel like that really
Antonio at nickel.
Right, that really does give you less options, especially since Terrell Edmonds was not on the Jags active roster. He was on the practice squad, and the Steelers said, I'm going to pluck him. Thank you very much. So you do have a little bit less as far as options go. But I do think if you're going into any game, you'd rather it be against the Browns, which really struggled offensively last week, than a team that played really well last week. All right, we will get to the full injury report when we return. Also, we have not yet discussed Trevor Bank, so we will do that as well. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It's a Sunshine Turf Friday. We drove by Gonzales Park last night. We just talked about the entire amount of rain that we've had. Well, the park looked fantastic. You know why? Because it's artificial turf. It's not grass. So the kids are able to still play on the playground despite all this rain. If you want to add turf to your playground or your backyard, give them a call, 904-892-0580, or visit them, sunshineturf.info. We'll be back on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ultimate tailgate. Someone's going to win a tailgate combo pack from Southern Steer Butcher.
Valued at $100.
And it could be you.
Monthly winners get a Corona tailgate tent with a cooler, chair, and
Collectible football.
Enter at 1010XL.com.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey everyone, it's football season and we wanted to go to the drawing board to make this year's predictions. Let's compare our two blonde all-stars. Most touchdowns, best pricing in the market. Most passing yards, gives the most for your trade. Most receptions, free oil changes with every purchase. Super Bowl champion, wow customer service. This looks like a winning season for everyone. Come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where you can score big all season long.
If your IT, data security, and your office copiers are operating perfectly, you must have hired ABS, Advanced Business Solutions, as your technology partner.
Advanced Business Solutions.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Hold up, let me say that again. 2.99% year one rate. Trust me, folks, that's basically unheard of. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. Dream Finders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Getting you ready for the game. Pre-Game Friday. Brought to you by MyBookie and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Big Sur's here. My cigars are back in stock at Island Girl Gate Parkway. Buy a box and I will autograph it for you. Island Girl Gate Parkway is the place to enjoy a great cigar selection, a full bar, enjoy a daily happy hour from noon to 7 and all day Sunday. Enjoy college and NFL games from noon to 6. When you buy 5 cigars, you get 1 free. Plus, live music Friday and Saturday nights. For upcoming events, follow Island Girl Gate Parkway on Instagram and Facebook at islandgirl.gateparkway.
Hey, Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Chick-fil-A is introducing their new banana pudding milkshake that's here to enjoy for a limited time only. The seasonal treat features Chick-fil-A ice cream dessert mixed with bananas and vanilla wafer cookie crumbles. It's a perfect sweet spin on a classic. The banana pudding milkshake is here for a limited time, so stop by your local Chick-fil-A restaurant and treat yourself today.
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite roofing contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjax.com.
It's a Helmets and Heels Sunshine Turf Friday.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
At Farrah & Farrah, we focus on your personal injury case around the clock, so you don't have to. Farrah & Farrah, here to make it easy. Jacksonville.
Big Sur's here. Join me, Hacker, and Coach Campbell Sunday for the Winter World of Northeast Florida's 5th quarter live from Island Girl Cigar Gate Parkway. Enjoy all-day happy hour and my cigars. It's the 5th quarter Sunday, live at Island Girl Cigars Gate Parkway.
Thermal Engineers is hiring. Thermal Engineers is a commercial HVAC contractor serving North Florida for over 20 years. Qualified technicians and installers, how does top pay, 401k, and full benefits sound, and a signing bonus? Is it time for a positive change in your career? Join the family-oriented commercial HVAC contractor at Thermal Engineers. Call 230-1172 or go to Thermal Engineers, Inc., an equal opportunity employer.
We're back. Mia here, and winning season is back. Football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions, like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning, folks. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super, Survivor, and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge cash rewards. For a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, just use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Not to mention, loyalty pays off with MyBookie Plus. The more you play, the more you win. Climb through tiers of loyalty rewards programs to unlock even more epic promotions. Only with MyBookie.
Lauren Brooks here. If you're in pain and you think you've tried everything, I've got a solution for you. The team at Active Health Jax treats the source of the problem, not just the pain, so you can avoid surgery, cortisone injections, and pain medications. I've had neck aches for years, and I've tried everything from acupunctures to massages with no results. Within minutes of my evaluation and treatment, the tension was gone. It was amazing. Active Health Jax can help you too. Give them a call at 904-296-0202 today or visit them online at activehealthjax.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
This kind of music makes you want to run through a wall, right?
It does me.
This is so this became the Iowa State the Run Through the Tunnel song after Matt Campbell became the head coach. Previously, it was Smoke on the Water. Mm-hmm. You tell me, this or Smoke on the Water. So that's why I hear this song and I'm always like, yeah, when in doubt, if you need to pick a hype song, just go for AC/DC.
Yeah.
Like, don't hesitate. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just roll with it.
Yeah, Smoke on the Water is a fun song, like a good song, but it's not.
Is that the song you run through a tunnel to?
Yeah, definitely not. All right, so Everbank Stadium on Sunday will be known as Trevor Bank. It's obviously a marketing tool that the Everbank marketing staff decided to use. Trevor had a funny commercial, and now we'll see lots of signage saying Trevor Bank. I don't think it's much more than that, and I do think that it's important for him to play well, though, in a stadium that, for at least for one day, is Trevor Bank.
Oh, the memes.
Yeah.
The memes will be aplenty.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid the Jaguars don't play well on Sunday. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And maybe it's working in sports media and working on the marketing and sales and the multimedia side of things that I'm like, okay, cute idea, go for it. But also in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, boy. Like, you know, it's putting yourself out there. But at the same time, all right, dial up the pressure a little bit more. I don't think Trevor's feeling it. I don't think anybody in that stadium is. But at the same time, like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Like, I think it's cool. I think it sounds cool. It's clever. It's, you know, it has that honest, like, natural ring to it almost, to where I'm surprised more people haven't said that before, to be honest. Just, I truly never even thought about it. But then immediately when it happened, people started bringing up old tweets that I was seeing that people were calling it that on certain games when he did play well. But it's definitely an interesting one, considering they haven't played well at home. And so that's one of the things also coming off the loss last week. And I think the Browns are probably looking at it like, okay, like let's make this a fun thing for us. And so I really do. You really want them to play well in a situation like this. And you already want them to win and you already want them to play well. But then you also want to be able to be like, yes, like make Trevor Bank a positive thing rather than a laughable thing.
I didn't even think about that, whether or not the Browns players are even aware of this.
No.
Because it is very Jacksonville oriented.
Yeah. I heard Hayes talking about it yesterday, and he was like, they're definitely using it as motivation.
Okay, yeah. I guess to each their own as far as what teams want to use. If I'm the Browns, I put on game film from last week, and that's enough motivation for me to play a lot better. All right, speaking of the Browns and the Jaguars, time now for the Fair and Farah injury update.
The personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah present this injury update. Farah and Farah,
Jacksonville,
exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, so let's start with the latest updates here in Duval first. Doug Peterson met with reporters about 2 hours ago. He did report that Darnell Savage suffered some sort of quad injury early in yesterday's practice. He was changing in the locker room when we were in the media availability, spoke with reporters. Midway through the media portion viewing of practice, I actually looked at a couple of reporters and I was like, did you see him? And they're like, well, he was changed and walking out to practice. So we don't know exactly what happened, but Doug Peterson pessimistic in terms of his availability Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. The other 4 players on the Jaguars injury report, Daniel Thomas, who missed last week with the strained Achilles, Cam Robinson, Caleb Johnson, and Tyler Lacey. According to Doug Peterson, he does expect them all to be available for Sunday's home opener. Let's flip on over to the Browns, shall we? Let me tell you, folks, I tried to disconnect a little bit yesterday afternoon in between meetings and, of course, some stuff over with UNF Nation, swoop. And I left my phone over there on silent, and I, took 45 minutes away from it. And, in that 45 minutes, it was announced that Myles Garrett had missed yesterday's practice with an undisclosed foot injury. Zadarius Smith missed yesterday's practice with an undisclosed back injury. That on the heels of not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 players from the Cleveland Browns defense being placed on IR this week. And so obviously, that is front of mind for a lot of folks. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reports that it's just precautionary with regards to Myles Garrett, that it's not anything significant. He still should be available for Sunday's game, but obviously will be a situation worth monitoring. You couple that with David Njoku, already ruled out for Sunday's game, the starting tight end for the Cleveland Browns. Here's a sampling of some of the other players listed on their injury report. Jedrick Willis, the starting left tackle, did not practice on Wednesday. He was limited yesterday after missing the Browns opener against the Dallas Cowboys. Joel Bitonio has been limited each of the past 2 days. Jack Conklin, who couldn't give it a go against the Cowboys, the starting right tackle, also limited so far this week. Jerry Jeudy and Denzel Ward have both been full participants despite injury designations. Ditto to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Wow. Yeah. Quite a few names on that Cleveland Browns injury report.
But the Dolphins also had a lot of names on theirs too. So that's where I go back to, it doesn't really matter. It's the next man up mentality like we talk about. Certainly the offensive line. If Wills and Conklin can play, how healthy are they? That's a big storyline. And of course, defensively, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith. It's surprising that Myles Garrett all of a sudden seems to have the foot injury, because I don't think that was mentioned coming out of the Cowboys game. But I would assume, I expect him to play.
14 seconds ago.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yep, our friend Mary Kay Cabot just tweeted that both players are back at practice after missing Thursday's game. But just a note.
Multiple people actually have, within the last minute, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Jed Willis, and Jack Conklin all practicing today.
Yeah, so that does not surprise me. That's kind of what I expected. A lot of times NFL teams will give guys a day off when it comes to the veteran players if they have some sort of injury. And so
it's that Friday report that you wait for. And
correct.
That you're like, okay, let's wait until Friday and see what we're seeing here.
Exactly. But I do think when you have a healthy Josh Hines-Allen, a healthy Trayvon Walker, and I would expect more snaps this week for Eric Armstead, even if those guys are playing, they're not 100%. So the Jaguars defensive front really needs to get after them. And look, that's the plan to win.
Yeah.
Harass Deshaun Watson and make life uncomfortable for him. The Browns last year had a league high 37 turnovers.
Yeah.
So force them into bad decisions like we saw Tua last night, and you win the football game. It doesn't matter if it's ugly. It doesn't matter if your offense looks amazing and high-flying. It just matters that you win the game.
And they're probably saying the same thing, though.
Of
They're
course
like,
they
Trevor
are.
turns the ball over a crap ton, so let's just make him turn the ball over. And with Myles Garrett looking like he's practicing today and will play, that's what he does.
And that the Bills defense itself last night, by the way, extremely depleted.
Right.
We did just get some good news, it appears, via Kyle Brandt for the Buffalo Bills fans out there, Buffalo Bills fans out there, that Terrell Bernard had an MRI, and that pec injury that was forced to immediately rule him out of last night's game is expected to be a pectoral strain, not a tear. Of course, the Bills are already playing without inside linebacker Matt Milano. They're a prime example of they had depth guys in last night, and they still made life hell for Tua Tagovailoa. And it was the lowest combined output for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle when they both have been teammates down in Miami.
Yeah. And it's not even like, Josh Allen had 139 passing yards. It's not even like it was some insane game. Like
James Cook's 3 touchdowns weren't even from like 50 yards out either by any stretch of the imagination.
It's called dominating a football game.
Yes.
You don't have to. We talked about this for last week. The amount of 200-yard games was reduced and are fewer than we've really ever seen in week one. But there were teams that were winning, like the Saints and the Cowboys and the Bucks, by a lot. So it doesn't matter. It isn't always a direct correlation between passing yards and the margin of victory.
Yeah, that's why I've never cared even when they talk about Trevor with that, like, the most passing yards in this. I don't care if you have a billion passing yards if you're not scoring touchdowns. You've got to score.
It's completion percentage, and it's how effective you are in the red zone as far as your trips down there. When we return, Mia caught up with Anton Harrison yesterday, so we will let you hear from the Jaguars offensive lineman. Had a little bit of a rough game last week. We'll see what happens this Sunday against the Browns. We'll also talk some college football as well. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Zebra. Zebra is backed by overwhelming demand. Saturday night
night, September 14th, live at the Florida Theater in Jacksonville, performing songs from all 5 Zebra albums. Zebra. Get tickets now before they're gone at floridatheater.com. Zebra with all original members, Saturday night, September 14th. Tickets on sale now. Don't miss Zebra.
Home opener this weekend, the home team 0-1 headed back to the bank. So many questions in Duval County this week. And I'm going to assume one of those other questions you're wondering is, why Arlington? I'm so glad you asked, because our friends over at Arlington Toyota have so many reasons why your next new Toyota is at Arlington. But first, let me ask you a question. Don't you just love having to drive from lot to lot, dealer to dealer to try and find a good selection? Nobody likes that. And thanks to Arlington, you don't have to. Arlington's lot is packed with new Toyotas in stock in one location, ready to go home with you today. If anything, you might have a hard time deciding which one with so many to choose from. That's okay, because Arlington has you covered there with their 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your new Toyota purchase or exchange it for one that you do. You even get a complimentary car wash with every service. So instead of asking why Arlington, ask why aren't you here yet? Shop in person 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
Joe C. for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. And if your dream is to create that space where you're living large in your backyard, then you need to get with the good people at CSS. They put a gas log in our fireplace, an awesome fire pit out back where the kids can toast s'mores and we can just hang out and watch the game. It's all part of your outdoor living experience with CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
You dream it, we build it. CSS.
Helmets and heels.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari, at Bari Orthopedics.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 13th, 1965, MLB legend Willie Mays hits his 500th home run, becoming the 5th player in Major League Baseball history to reach the 500 home run mark.
Lauren Brooks here to congratulate my friends at Big Chief Tire. For the 5th year in a row, Big Chief Tire was named the best tire center in Jacksonville for excellence in tire services. Big Chief Tire has served the Jacksonville community for over 60 years with quality tires, brakes, repairs, alignments, and more. Big Chief is known for fair prices and honest service, and they've built a reputation for treating customers like family and offering reliable solutions to keep vehicles safe and running smoothly. Visit BigChiefService.com.
Attention sports fans, are you ready to take your game to the next level? Look no further than Best Bet. You can bet anywhere, but you'll definitely win here. Experience the thrill of sports like never before. With all the major games broadcasting live on our big screens and a menu stacked with your favorite foods and refreshing drinks, you're sure to find your winning ticket. Visit BestBetJax.com to learn more. That's BestBetJax.com. Bet anywhere, win here. Only at Best Bet.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
This is Dr. Michael Iorio, internal medicine physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars' third-year cornerback Buster Brown will see increased playing time with the absence of Tyson Campbell. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson was asked this morning about his confidence in Buster Brown.
It's a lot of confidence, and I can't say enough good things. He's done a nice job. When he's been in there, whether he's started or came in, off of the bench, gets an opportunity, this week to play a lot and just continues to grow as a young player.
In the absence of Tyson Campbell last season, Brown had 4 pass breakups in 6 starts for the Jaguars. Browns Jaguars in the home opener Sunday at 1 o'clock. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, Dylan Denmark filling in for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Sunshine Turf Friday. Things that we thought were fact were that the Jaguars' tackles were much better than the interior of the offensive line. But against the Dolphins, Mia, I don't know that was the case.
Yeah, I think the tackles were where a lot of the struggles came from in terms of that offensive line. I mean, I commented on Monday that, D-Rock and I looked at each other at halftime and we were like, wow. The interior 3 actually looking pretty darn good. And I know our friend Pete Prisco a little bit more critical of the right guard than perhaps some others here on the Superstation. But outside of that, I thought that Ezra Cleveland had a solid day. Mitch Morse, obviously a vast improvement compared to that position from a year ago. But you were counting on those 2 tackles to be true bookends for you and to be a strength. And with Anton Harrison giving up 4 pressures, Cam Robinson also challenged at times, especially on the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, has been widely noted across not only our waves, but our airwaves, but across the area. It was a disappointment to see both of those players not play up to snuff. Cam Robinson has popped up on the injury report. Anton Harrison is not. And so it'll be curious to see how he bounces back on Sunday.
Yeah, for me, I feel like a lot of it, and I've been critical of the offensive line since the offseason, but for me, the criticisms come more so because they just haven't been able to stay healthy. And so to me, if those 5 are healthy and they're on the football field, you do have a decent to good starting offensive line. You just want them to stay there and not... Brandon Sheriff's been banged up. Obviously, Ezra, we got him banged up than he was again. Cam Robinson has consistent issues. So to me, it's been more of that. And so that was what was surprising this last week, is I was like, they were healthy, so I was expecting the line to play pretty good. And the fact that the tackles did struggle was a little bit of a shocker. But I do think Anton, he's still in year 2. We give him a lot of credit for everything he did last year, but there's still going to be some learning things, especially against certain defenses and certain things that people now are going to be focusing on, because last year it was like, he's a rookie. Now it's like, this guy's actually pretty good. We got to put a little more attention on Anton. So I do think that maybe in certain situations we'll see some more chip help and stuff like that with the tackles in the situations that you need. But I think when they're healthy, you have a decent offensive line. You just want them to all 5 be there and consistently.
What's wild is that Anton played hurt a lot of last year.
Yeah.
And then had the surgery after the season. And then this year, at least just 1 week.
Yeah.
But in the first game struggled, and now he is healthy. So that is a little bit of an ironic thing. But here is Mia O'Brien with Jaguars' second-year right tackle, Anton Harrison.
Pleased to be joined with Jaguars right tackle Anton Harrison. Anton, happy Thursday. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing well. For you guys coming off of Sunday, emotionally, mentally, physically, what's been the biggest point of emphasis in conversations the last 3-4 days?
Really just finish for us so we know what we did wrong, what we need to improve on for this coming up Sunday. So for us, really just finishing the full game, doing everything right, the little things, and that's really been the main focus.
How would you evaluate the offensive line on Sunday?
I feel like as a whole, obviously we played with effort. Everybody we play with that, but it's just some little things that we just can't do. We need to fix for this coming Sunday.
What was the biggest thing for you that you said I have to get better in blank against the Browns compared to the Dolphins game?
For me personally, just being consistent.
Is that in footwork, technique, or just across the board? Or?
I would say just across the board. Just my assignment, alignment, footwork, technique, just everything. Playing to the best of my ability, knowing how I can play.
Obviously going against the Browns front that you did last year as well. What is, probably an obvious question, but what is the biggest thing that stands out about the Cleveland Browns defensive line?
Obviously they got the guys 9'5" and stuff, but they're aggressive. It pops out on film how aggressive they are. They want to punch you in the mouth, so we just got to do it first. We got to punch them in the mouth so they know we're here and we ready to play.
What's your biggest memory from that game in particular last year?
Biggest memory. She probably losing. That we don't want to do that again. But just the grit of that game on the front line, offense, defense. Just every play you banging, every play it's a fight. It's a boxing match every play. So that's probably the biggest thing that I took out of that game.
With Myles Garrett, it's kind of like I remember your second career game when you played Chris Jones. Those two guys, they're going to move up and down the line. How difficult is that for you guys as an offensive line to have to point out, like, hey, he's here now, hey, he's there now?
It's difficult going against a guy like that can move everywhere on the line, but we just got to trust our coaching and trust our really just our technique and our rules and just follow them. And we do what we need to do. We can stop anybody.
You and I talked preseason about Tank. Cam and I talked about it last week. To see Tank do what he did on Sunday, what does that not only say about him, about where this run game can go?
It shows a lot. Just everything he's been through. Like me and Tank, we came in together, so we've been close. So just seeing him do that on Sunday is just it's a great thing to see. But it just shows what we can do. We can even be a lot better, like from last Sunday in the run game, and we know that. So that's what we're striving to do.
What was the biggest positive, do you think, from the run game? Was it the fact that you could run in between the tackles? What was the biggest thing that you said, hey, this is working, now we can build on it?
I say our physicality, even just like our ball carriers, we're running through arm tackles. O-line, we're getting that initial push we need, and we can run whenever we want, backed up, to get out them situations, things like that. So that's the biggest takeaway for us, knowing we can do that and keep improving on that.
Final question for me, Anton. What sort of message has this locker room said they feel like they need to send? What sort of, I guess, identity is it that this team wants to show and prove that they have on Sunday?
That we're the most physical, in shape, want to say in-sync team that's going to play. We try to set that every time we get on the field. We're physical. We're not going to get tired. We're going to play all 4 quarters and finish.
Anton, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Certainly sounds like a player who knows that did not play up to his standard, the team standard on Sunday. And I know, Anton certainly has addressed his shortcomings on Sunday, how to rectify them. But it is funny, and not even funny, but it's of note that he mentioned multiple times, like, we want to show not only we're the most physical team, and we've heard that now for 8 months, so not surprised there, but the most in-shape team. We're not going to get tired. We're going to put 4 quarters together. I thought that was interesting that he did say that. Mm-hmm. And certainly, look, it was over 100 degrees on the field in Miami. There's no mistake about that. But even if Lauren's forecast is correct and there's a little bit of rain in the forecast on Sunday, it's going to be hot here on Sunday as well, too. And to Taylor's point earlier in the week, that is perhaps what's most frustrating for Jaguar fans, putting 4 full quarters together, not just starting strong and fast, but holding up your end of the bargain late in the game, too.
I love that he said ball carrier because it reminds me of listening to football games on the radio growing up. And for some reason now we only really say running back. Yeah. But ball carrier is like something that all of a sudden just the nostalgia came pouring through. Look, Anton Harrison is a really, really, really good tackle in this league. The offensive line played really well in the first half. Did they get tired with that heat and humidity? That's what I'm starting to wonder. I certainly wondered it after the game Sunday. But they, like you said, Mia, they know what they need to do. And they have an anchor now that is going, I think, to take them places where they need to go, and that is Mitch Morse, to be able to run the ball in third and 1, 4th and 1. The short yardage situations, it has to be so frustrating to them after they quote unquote took it down to the studs, as Press Taylor said, and then to go out there and still struggle with the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that is annoying.
Yeah, I like that he said when you asked what stood out from last year, and he said losing. And not because I feel like anybody needs to dwell on that. We've already said we want to turn the page and move from it. But I think when a game or games stand out that you lose, that means in my head that you're going back and you're watching those games and looking at what went wrong and what you need to get better at. And I think that's how you learn, especially someone coming from year 1 into year 2. There's a lot of things that you're fundamentally learning. Obviously, you're still developing. You're learning your place in the league. And I think that's important for him. He has this realization that stood out. And not saying, obviously, Anton had a great year last year, especially for a rookie. And as you said, Lauren, playing through injury. But for him to kind of look at that in a sense of saying, like, this stuck out to me. And because we want to be better, we know we can be better. And we can learn from those mistakes.
Dylan, if you could cue up Press Taylor's clip from yesterday, number 9, please. Because I asked a similar question of Press Taylor yesterday morning. I said, hey, You're largely the same outfit on offense that you were a year ago, and you're facing largely the same defense outside of a few injuries here and there. What do you remember most from that meeting up in Cleveland, which obviously the weather a little bit more formidable than, I guess on the other side of the spectrum, I would say. Still just as formidable, a little bit colder up there in Cleveland compared to the heat here in Jacksonville. But here was Press's answer when I asked, what do you remember most from that game?
We go back a lot. I mean, that's certainly a game that we're going to, anytime we play an opponent again that has the same DNA as well as personnel, you're going to spend a lot of time watching that because you want to look at how they treated you, how they thought of you, defended you, where did that differ from what you planned going into the game, and then try to figure out why that happened, why that was, what they feel like they could hang their hat on if they were successful with this and plan for that. And then learning from it moving forward. I think looking back on it, the personnel we had and the guys playing, I know Ezra was hurt going into the game and ended up playing left tackle for us right there. Blake Hance comes in and finishes it. And it felt like one of those games. It was just nothing went well. And then you look back and realize we had the ball, we're down 1 possession with the chance to win the game amid not playing well. And so that's one of those little things that you kind of gain some confidence of, okay, if we can just get out of our own way, give ourselves a possibility to win this game if we execute at a high level, we stick together throughout, we'll be in these games. Same thing we were talking about the other way of we were never out of that game. We always had an opportunity to win. And so now you got to capitalize and make those plays.
Blake Hance was the starting left tackle, or came to fill in because he said Ezra was the starting.
Well, he started at guard, didn't he?
Yeah. And so Blake now not even on the 53-man roster.
Right.
So that shows you a little bit of the injury status that the Jags had last season.
That and probably the Calvin Ridley missed alert at the line that resulted in one of Trevor's interceptions. Like that and then losing the game is probably like the biggest things that like in hindsight we remember from that game. But again, to Press's point, they still had a chance to win the game despite playing arguably one of their worst games in terms of execution of the season. And so much like last week against Miami, it's shooting yourself in the foot at the most inopportune times. Can you finally get over that hump against a team not named the Carolina Panthers and say, look, we can execute for 4 quarters?
And I also think going back and looking at it, the probably biggest killer when it came to what the Browns were able to do was Njoku, and he's not playing. He had almost 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game, and he will not be here this weekend. So that was kind of the Achilles heel for a long time, and maybe still is, the tight end position. And for some reason, Jacksonville just had this history of not being able to handle them, and Njoku showed that last year, and that was obviously with Joe Flacco. But yeah, that was a game where Trevor turned the ball over 3 times. You're not going to win many football games if you're turning over the ball 3 times. And so I think that when you play clean, which is obviously important, but you're also taking away one of the biggest issues in that game last year when it comes to the tight end and Njoku. And so, I think that all kind of starts leaning towards Jack's side.
Which also a plug for the Duval Rundown podcast on the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. We broke down those David Njoku touchdowns from last year. Both came on play action. Mm-hmm. And Dan Orlovsky, shout out to Get Up on ESPN for doing the heavy lifting for us. Deshaun Watson has had one of the worst completion percentages on play action since he got to the Cleveland Browns, which, wait for it, whose hallmark of his offense is running play action, the head coach and play caller Kevin Stefanski. And so I'm very curious without Njoku and knowing Deshaun's limitations, does Stefanski curtail to the skill set of his quarterback, or does he say, this is the offense we're running? If you can't run it, well, then we're going to have a different conversation.
I think the Browns for getting rid of Joe Flacco and sending him off to the Colts.
Honestly.
Thank you, because he was the reason. Joe Flacco obviously is the reason that the Browns were successful offensively in that game last year.
Yeah, I mean, the worst when we're talking about his completion percentage and play action, I think he just has a bad completion percentage in general since he's been in Cleveland. He only completed 53% of his passes last week. Even last year, he got 61, but I think there were like 2 games that made that like spike over that 61. Aside from that, it's been a lot of 55, 56% completion percentage.
Ladies, I have a complaint to lobby with college football. Tomorrow, Alabama at Wisconsin kicks off at
noon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Memphis at FSU kicks off at
noon.
LSU at South Carolina kicks off at
Listen, if you've got to host the Terminex kickoff show on Sunday like I do, I'm like, heck yeah, let's get all the good games out of the way so I could go to bed early tomorrow.
Boston College at Missouri kicks off at 12:45. 4 games that I want to watch all at one time.
Welcome to the quad box of YouTube TV, Lauren.
And I have
come over to the good side.
I don't like 4 games on the TV at once because I don't think I can watch any of them very closely.
Okay,
I want to watch FSU closely and I want to watch Alabama closely.
Time
so
for
I
your multi-TV setup then.
Yeah, I have 2 TVs.
Good,
but I need 4.
You have your laptop.
For tomorrow.
Well, that's another reason
true.
to get.
I have an iPad and I have a laptop.
There you go.
Don't worry. I have YouTube. I have Hulu and I have cable. I have all of it because I love football.
I'm
all
so
right,
proud
when we come
of you.
back, thank you. When we come back, we will talk about more college football. I want to know what y'all think about Florida, Texas A&M, and we'll make our weekly picks. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday. You can find them online at sunshineturf.info or give them a call. Caleb and his team do such a great job. 904-892-0580. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
1010XL Weekly is your one-stop shop for all things Jags, college ball, preps, and more. Subscribe to our newsletter today, and you'll be entered to win free tickets to the Packers game this October. Subscribe, just head on over to 1010XL.com and scroll down to the 1010XL Weekly Flash page.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Mia here, and just like we were mentioning, the sun is back out, folks. That means it's going to be hot this weekend, and that means your AC better be blowing nice and cold on the inside. If for any reason it's not, my friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are here to help. Their qualified service techs can handle any type of cooling issue at your home or business. So don't deal with the summer heat outside and inside. Give Duck Duck AC a call today to schedule service. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck AC is a licensed mechanical contractor.
We've seen it 1,000 times. Insurance companies using the same tired excuses not to pay. They'll say you're really not hurt, or that your injury is from an old accident. That's why it's so important to hire a law firm who has their own medical experts, who know how to fight excuses with facts. When they bring excuses, we bring the truth. And truth is power. Farah and Farah. Here for you, here for good. Jacksonville.
Hey, Hickett here. I want to talk skin along with my friends at Beach's Dermatology, reminding you to wear your sunscreen. Football season is back, baby. And with that, days under that bright sun. So when you load up that truck for the game day tailgate, or the chairs for your kids' flag games, or even the boat heading downtown to watch our Jags, make sure you bring the screen. Sunscreen, that is. It's a must here in Duval. But if you have any concerns right now, give Beach's Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com. There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Hickett here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Sunshine Turf Friday.
Right now, they're on their way to ruin your day. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. And if you're not prepared, you will suffer. Yes, it's that time of the year. Heat and humidity are attacking North Florida. But help is at hand. Call Mike Merritt's Heating and Air Conditioning. Mike Merritt has a license to chill and lets you maintain your comfort zone at a bargain price. How? Mike Merritt stands ready to help, routine or emergencies. And Mike Merritt knows emergencies can happen at any time. So with Mike, there's never any overtime charges. And Mike's team works without commissions. Merritt will never try to sell you parts you don't need. You can't trust just anyone with a truck. Call Mike Merritt, the company North Florida has trusted for 35 years. Call today. License number CAC 050384.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is Hayes Carlyon for Skylife Elite. Have you ever thought about aircraft ownership as another potential revenue stream and as a tool for tax savings? Put your tax money to work for you while enjoying the benefits of private personal travel. Skylife Elite has over a decade of experience in business aviation and can guide you through the process with their expert staff. Call my friends over at Skylife Elite at 490-9332 or find them at flyskylife.com to get the rundown on everything owning an airplane can do for you.
We're back. Mia here, and winning season is back. Football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions, like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning, folks. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super, Survivor, and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge cash rewards. For a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, just use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Not to mention, loyalty pays off with MyBookie Plus. The more you play, the more you win. Climb through tiers of loyalty rewards programs to unlock even more epic promotions. Only with MyBookie.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Riddle Wellness. High School Football Friday is back with a big rivalry game as the Bishop Kenny Crusaders travel to Bulls to take on the Bulldogs. The Crusaders last upset Bulls in 2022 for their first win in the rivalry since 1977. Leading the Crusaders is QB Derek Heidemann, who's been electric the last 3 games, passing for 455 yards and 8 touchdowns. Crusaders also will rely on wide receiver J.P. Donovan and running back Caleb Madison. Bulls QB Ethan Drum will look to lead their team tonight alongside running back Emmett Gresbin and wide receiver Chase Collier. You can catch the game live on 1010XL. Kickoff tonight at 7:30. Over in Charlotte, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp couldn't keep their winning streak alive when they fell in Game 4 to the Knights last night, 9-4. Now tied in the series, they'll battle it out for the lead in Game 5 tonight at 7:04. It's 87 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The more things change, the more they remain the same. Another Georgia football player has been arrested for reckless driving. Defensive back Daniel Harris has been charged with reckless driving and 4 other misdemeanors: not wearing a seatbelt, operating an unregistered vehicle without a license plate, driving without proof of insurance, and having an illegal window tint. He was arrested shortly before midnight last night. No official statement from the University of Georgia yet.
It really is fascinating that Kirby Smart has gone ahead and kicked someone off the team in Robert Thomas because of issues off the field, and yet we've still seen other incidents happen since then. So I'm sure if you're Kirby, you are so incredibly frustrated. Yeah. And I don't blame Kirby for his players and their terrible driving. Yeah, their dumb choices at such a young age. I'm sure he has spent hours upon hours and brought other people in and talked to them about the consequences. But at the end of the day, it seems to happen in Athens only. Mm-hmm. Is that because the other places like Gainesville and Tallahassee, the police officers kind of look the other way when they realize it's a football player? I have no idea, but it sure seems to happen a lot in Athens. And I would expect that this player in Daniel Harris would not start or play, I should say, this coming week against Kentucky. But I also think Georgia can beat Kentucky even without him and probably a few other people.
Right, and you saw, obviously, Trevor Etienne also had a reckless driving charge or some sort of, legal charge against him while operating a vehicle, and so he was held out of the opener. Again, the rah-rah situation is, look, I'm not
whole other level.
I'm not belittling the driving, but that's a whole nother can of worms that if Kirby had not kicked him off the team, you would have even more repercussions and conversations to be had. And so it'll be curious because at some point or another, the standard is the standard. And until you say, if you cross this line, you will suffer this punishment and you enforce it, this is going to continue to happen. And even then, it still may continue to happen. And you know what? That is how you find out who is committed not only on the field, but to the program and to what you are building as a whole.
Yeah, I think Kirby has to be, to your point, Lauren, he has to be just like furious with this because it does keep happening over, and it does happen other places. But I think, number one, Georgia being Georgia, it does get even a more spotlight. Also, if you've ever driven in Georgia, some of those cops will get you no matter what. When you're driving through Georgia, they're a little stricter than maybe some other places. But I think that there's only so much that Kirby can do, and these guys are making these choices at the end of the day. But I do think there has to be something at some point where there, like you said, Mia, there's this threshold where if you do this, if you get in trouble, if you get arrested or whatever the case may be, you can't be on this football team.
Yeah, and there's obviously not enough of a consequence because this is, I don't even know how many times this has happened, but I know at one point the Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a whole thing on it, and I want to say it was getting close to double digits then, and certainly we've seen incidents since then. All right, time now for our picks. We will start with college football. These were the lines of this morning, so if they've changed, let me know, Mia. We will start with Tallahassee and a massive game for Florida State playing host to Memphis, Mike Norvell's former team. And certainly Memphis has a really good quarterback in Seth Hennigan. Mia, I'll start with you. What you got? Florida State favored by 6.5.
It's a line that has shifted throughout the course of the week, Lauren. I'm double checking right now to see that there hasn't been any further action. And of course, as you noted, it is in that noon window. It is still a 6.5-point line favoring the Noles. You can get Memphis plus 204 on the money line. For me, the bleeding has to stop at some point or another, whether that's DJU seizing the moment and a group or a Power 4, school stepping up against a Group of 6 school. Whatever it is, if it's Brock Glenn having to come in because DJU's not performing, Florida State needs this one more than ever. I have the Noles covering by a touchdown.
So you think potentially Brock Glenn could get in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's potential for that just because this is do or die at this point.
That's what I said the other day. And
I pushed back because I don't think you should.
I
but
gotcha.
I mean, do or die.
Right.
You have to find a way to win this football game.
All right. So Mia's got Florida State favored by 6.5 to cover the spread. Taylor, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Memphis. I think that until Florida State can prove to me that they can do anything when it comes to running the ball, when it comes to stopping the run, when it comes to anything in the trenches whatsoever, when it comes to DJ Uyunglele, I haven't seen it. And I know that Memphis, we talk about the two teams they have won, but they've actually absolutely rolled over them. And it's not like FSU's losing to opponents that also aren't the greatest of opponents, too. Memphis has been able to move the ball a ton. They're a very even team when it comes to they can run the ball well and pass the ball well. So I think, to me, it's more of until Florida State can prove to me that they can put anything together consistently throughout a game, I'm not going to trust it.
So you've got Memphis in the 6.5. Do you also think Memphis wins the game outright?
And that's what I don't know. I could honestly see a win from what I've seen the last couple of weeks from Florida State, but more so I just don't know if they can even get close to winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, I've got Memphis in the points. I don't think Memphis wins the game outright. but Florida State was favored by 16 or 16.5 by the time that game kicked off against Boston College.
Yeah.
And we saw what they could do. Now, the styles of play are very different. The first two teams really good at running the ball and that dual threat quarterback. Memphis plays completely differently, led by Ryan Silverfield, originally from Jacksonville and Bulls. But I do think Florida State is in its own head right now, so I think Memphis keeps it close. All right, let's get it to Gainesville. One of the biggest games, of course, for Billy Napier's entire career. And it's ironic because November 2022, Florida went to College Station, Texas. And, of course, at the time, Jimbo Fisher, the head coach then. That was a game Florida pretty much beat up on A&M, and that was a game where Jimbo Fisher, the hot seat, got even hotter.
Yeah.
Now, reverse course, A&M under Mike Elko comes to Gainesville. Is this a game that could send Billy Napier and the haters off the edge?
Now, Lauren, you're also burying the other big lead of this story.
Maybe
which
no
is
Connor Wegman.
No Connor Wegman, potentially. He is questionable for this game.
I don't think that matters.
That doesn't matter. I agree with Taylor. Scooby Williams, another former Florida player. There are two on the A&M roster.
Yeah, Jaden Hill as well.
Yep.
So Shamar James told Montrell Johnson to run at them.
Well,
he told Trayon Webb to run at them.
Well, Scooby is questionable for this game as well. Plenty of Florida players currently in question for their status
including
for this
Trey
game.
Wilson. That's
Bingo.
the big one.
So that's where I think all said and done, you can throw that out. My real point of contention and the bigger storyline, where did DJ Lagway almost flip to? In December, a last-second Hail Mary thrown by Mike Elko and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's where, for me, this story is just so fascinating.
Oh, it's juicy already. Kicks off at 3:30 tomorrow.
After Florida proved me wrong and they got whopped by Miami in the Swamp in the opener, I am forced to pick A&M.
Favored by 3.
Yeah, I'm forced to pick A&M in this one, but dude, I think it would be great theater if so many people out there think if Billy Napier loses this game, he's out. What if DJ Lagway comes in for Graham Mertz, has a hell of a game against the team he almost went to, and now you're still stuck with Napier for at least another week? I think it would be great theater, so I am taking A&M with the idea of reverse jinx happening.
Yeah, I think Florida wins. I think that number one, with Lagway and the energy that it's brought to that offense. Also, A&M has gotten absolutely dominated on the ground all season. I think, too, that week one with the Notre Dame win, seeing how Notre Dame played last week, I'm not quite sure, honestly, how good Texas A&M is, because a team that couldn't beat Northern Illinois beat you. And I just also, both schools entering this weekend are 0-2 against the spread, too, so I feel like I'm going to go Florida on this one.
A&M hasn't won a road game in like almost 2 years. So
Since 21.
Yeah.
21, wow.
Since 2021. So I'll take Florida and the points. Look, at the end of the day, if you're Billy Napier, yes, Graham Mertz may start, but you've got to get the ball in the hands of your biggest playmaker in DJ Lagway. He may not be perfect tomorrow in the Swamp, but he has the ability to do so many things that Graham Mertz just unfortunately can't. And oh, by the way, this is part of the thing that no one's even talking about. Graham Mertz is coming off of a concussion. I mean, it's not like he's 100% and we're talking about him versus Lagway. So at the end of the day, I do think Florida covers the spread. Do I think Florida wins? I guess so, but I am not confident.
We'll stick with that 3-point line if you want, ladies, but they have added a hook on my bookie. So it is now -3.5 in favor of the Aggies.
It's been moving a lot. It was originally 4.5, then it moved to 3.5, then 3, now maybe back to 3.
So we'll keep it at 3 for our intents purposes.
Well, like I said, I think Florida wins, so mine doesn't change either way.
That is true. All right, Taylor, I'll start with you. LSU at South Carolina. LSU favored by 7.
Yeah, this one, I wanted so badly to find a reason to pick South Carolina because of I hate Brian Kelly. I've said that on here before. But I don't know. Sellers, he's completed only 55% of his passes for 2 touchdowns and a pick. I know South Carolina coming off a big win. I get it. It's just hard to go that way. Even with as bad and as much as I don't trust LSU's defense, I still think they pull this one off.
Yep, same. Water is wet. Brian Kelly is under fire after almost losing to Nichols last week. I know you didn't almost lose, Tiger fans. It was a little close for comfort in the third quarter, though. People were losing their minds on our good friend Matt Moscona and the folks down there in Baton Rouge. So that's why I think LSU takes care of business. I mean, after the opener that South Carolina had, almost losing to Old Dominion, they don't have a quarterback. I don't know what happened up in Lexington. Weird things happen.
Brock Vandegrift happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How Kirby Smart ever recruited him is shocking to me.
Yeah, so I will also go Tigers -7.
Look, I think it's going to be a really good environment for the Gamecocks. Game day there, obviously, too. That'll be fun. But at the end of the day, I do think LSU is a much more talented team, and maybe we're seeing the regression to the mean as far as Kentucky goes after South Carolina walloped.
It is in Columbia, though, so that is
yeah, that's what I said. It's going to be a really good environment.
But you're taking the Tigers, though?
Yeah, all three of us are going to take LSU in that one. All right, and by the way, this is, I feel like, the last weekend of some of the college football games not being as exciting as we move forward. All right,
I'm having fun with these games, honestly.
Good. We'll switch to the National Football League as the Packers play host to the Colts. The Packers, of course, probably starting Malik Willis, and the Colts are 2.5-point favorites on the road. I'm going to take the Colts. I'm going to take Anthony Richardson to beat a team because I think Malik Willis is terrible. And look, IAR looked good and bad last week, but I think he plays better this week. I've got Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Packers, actually. I think that
What?
The Colts are potentially playing without Julian Blackmon, Kwity Paye, and DeForest Buckner. I think that's too big. I think that Anthony Richardson will have to be almost flawless to be able to win this game. I don't have a ton of confidence in Malik Willis, but what I do have confidence in is LaFleur and his game planning and being able to scheme things around quarterbacks that are getting shuffled into a game last minute. I think Jaden Reed is probably looking like one of the better wide receivers in the league right now. His separation, his yak yards, everything, he can do it all. I think that they'll be able to help Malik Willis enough to get through this. I think Anthony Richards is going to make a mistake or two that's going to give Packers the game.
Don't forget Juju Brent's also out for the Colts. Yeah. So this is a depleted secondary that was already thin to begin with. I think, and this is not courtesy me, this is courtesy our friend Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah. I couldn't agree with them on Move the Six this morning more. Power run. Matt LaFleur is going to say, all right, I don't trust Malik Willis' arm, but guess what? He proved he can run at Liberty, so I'm just going to let him run wild over a Colts team that certainly their front seven is formidable, and that may be the anchor and the one saving grace considering how depleted that secondary is. But I'm with Taylor. I am not questioning Matt LaFleur, especially in a loser leaves town battle of 0-1 teams.
Yeah, I certainly hope the Packers win, that's for sure. I
Not
think
me.
that was just,
Well, this one sucks for me.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in the way they looked.
Let's let them tie.
To start the season, and that was with Jordan Love starting the season last Friday night against the Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This game, I have absolutely no idea. The Jets are 3.5-point favorites over the Titans, but the game is in Nashville. What teams come to play between the two? I will take Aaron Rodgers to play better, so I've got the Jets.
All right, so 3.5 in favor of the Jets.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it too. I mean, and look, I was listening back to a couple of Jets and New York media, their previews for Monday night's game. And the fact that they thought that game was going to be within a touchdown, granted, with Christian McCaffrey's status in doubt, okay, fine. I respect your respect for that Jets defense. But the 49ers were Super Bowl runner-ups for a reason. And that's where the level of competition drops off a bit with the Tennessee Titans this weekend. And so I do expect Gangrene's defense to bounce back.
Yeah, I think Titans actually have a pretty good defense, especially up front. T'Vondre Sweat and Simmons looked, honestly, pretty ferocious last week. It's honestly scary to look at that's what you might have for the future. But I just don't trust Tennessee's offense. I think that we're already seeing the tweets about Calvin Ridley not being in the right spot on the football field. Will Levis it just wasn't there. There was a lot of mistakes, obviously, and I do think that the Jets defense will bounce back a little bit. Maybe not what we saw last year, but they're not going to look like what they looked last week. And I think that Aaron Rodgers will be able to take advantage of some of the secondary a little bit in Tennessee. So I'm going to go Jets.
The hook is appetizing, though.
I know.
The hook is tempting, especially since the game is in Nashville.
At Nashville, I know.
All right, finally, the hometown team, the Jaguars, play host to the Browns. As of now, the Jaguars are 3-point favorites. That's a line that also has shifted a little bit. Taylor, who you got?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Jaguars. I honestly went back and forth. I think that there's reasons to pick each side, but I think ultimately at the end of the day, I don't trust Deshaun Watson to be able to carry his team in a moment that he needs to. I think the Jags are coming off a loss that they should have won, and I do expect them to play at least at least 3 quarters. Let's wait until the 4 for a few more weeks. Let's get 3 quarters.
Well, last week was 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
We're going to get
to 3 this week.
We're getting there.
But yeah, I'm going Jags.
Mia?
Oh, at Trevor Bank, by the way.
Yeah, last week I tried. Yeah, we need to send all the good juju. We cannot. We've had too many. What's the sign that I want to hang in the multimedia office? We have gone X amount of days without a multimedia fiasco in the city of Jacksonville. We can't have that. We can't have that on our conscience. Last week I tried the reverse jinx for the Jags. Didn't work out. This week,
no, it did not.
No, so we're going with the. Although the Jags did cover, the Jags covered last week, which of course I didn't pick, but that's besides the point. I am going -3 in favor of the home team. I also think that there is a very spicy situation looming. So should the Jaguars win on Sunday, excuse me, because then the Jags would have lost to the Dolphins. The Bills would have beaten the Dolphins. What's to say if the Jags go up to Buffalo and then they knock off the Bills to also improve to 2-1?
Interesting. By the way, the points as they stand now, Taylor leads the way with 8 points. I have 5 points. Mia, you have 4 points. So Taylor out to an early lead. And as far as the game on Sunday, I'm going to take the Jaguars because I think that the passing game is going to not go away from Brian Thomas Jr. throughout the second half. And I think Evan Ingram gets involved. Christian Kirk gets involved. Certainly more Tank Bigsby is there as well. And look, this is a team that I think they were furious after they lost on Sunday. And I don't think the Browns had that same sentiment because they played so poorly and never had a chance to win. The Jaguars know that they should have won, like you said, Taylor. All right, we've got a tangent by Taylor Dahl. When we return, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. He's a master at recon. His car line takes you behind enemy lines on 1010XL.
What's your position?
That's top secret. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dream Finders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one rate. Dream Finders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Are you ready to upgrade your home? Experience the winning combination of style and performance with Renew by Andersen. Energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Buy one, get one 40% off replacement windows and patio doors. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. This offer expires September 30th and restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit rbafla.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613. Pre-game Friday is brought to you by MyBookie
and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
What airline is now allowing their male pilots to wear makeup, paint their nails, and carry handbags?
When you call Southern Oak and file a claim, you'll be handled by our hand-picked vendors who will analyze any roof, storm, or water damage. It'll save money for you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
British Airways has introduced new uniform policies, allowing their male pilots to wear makeup, paint their nails, and carry a purse.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
Hey, it's Tony from Tony D's Pizza. If you love our pizza and pasta dishes, let us cater an event for you. Family function or office parties, we can deliver you an amazing Italian meal. Remember, it's not just pizza at Tony D's. Bay Meadows and $2.95.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday.
The highest quality artificial turf at affordable prices.
Visit sunshineturf.info today.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Now at Hodges Mazda, drive off in the perfect SUV. Lauren Brooks here. Take advantage of 0.9% APR for 60 months on the Mazda CX-50 and the Mazda CX-90, both in 2024. Both expertly blend rugged capability with refined luxury, offering versatile performance and sophisticated design to fit your lifestyle. Plus, with 2 years of free maintenance and the non-commissioned sales team putting your best interest first, it's an offer you don't want to miss. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expire September 30th, 2024.
The coolers are full at your local Gate gas station, making it easy for you to cruise in and cruise out with little downtime. Ice cold Coronas, Natty Lights, Stella Artois, and Michelob Ultra. Don't forget the king of beers, Cold Buds. Gate's got them in the cooler, waiting for you.
Get hot tips on where to fish this weekend.
I limit it out.
Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin Faber. Brought to you by Veterans Wholesale Cabinets and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, "We recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or chadandsandy.com.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
We love talking sports on 1010XL, and I-9 Sports loves giving kids the perfect way to grow up playing sports. Fall and winter registration is underway. Log on to i9sports.com and see all they've got to offer. Kids 3 and up. You can enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount. Year-round sports all across the First Coast. St. John's, Duval, and Clay. Sign up now for fall and winter. Great locations added like Fort Family Field, Westside Middle, and Duval Charter Bay Meadows. It's all online at i9sports.com.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dalmy O'Brien, Dylan Denmark filling in for RJ Sunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Dylan, we didn't get your take on Florida, Texas A&M, and of course, time now to plug your podcast as well.
Yeah, Denmark and Marsh, we do it twice a week, and we do a live reaction after the game tomorrow, probably around 7:15ish. I think A&M wins. I think the only way Florida wins is they have a great quarterback play, and I don't see that. So I don't know. I've really lost all hope. I mean, it's so funny going to the year everybody talks about in first, 6-7 games. It's like, Florida's at home. And now it's like, it doesn't even matter where they play. Home, away, neutral site, whatever.
I saw you were selling your tickets, too. Did you get rid of them? Or?
Not yet.
Yeah, well, that's...
hit my DMs if y'all want some tickets.
That might be...
Are you down that bad?
Yeah, I was going to say, that may be an indication of where we're at.
This happened last year. I thought the season was over the way Florida looked in the loss to Utah to start the season. And then Florida somehow, someway bounced back and beat Tennessee. So crazier things have happened, certainly under Billy Napier. We shall see. But yeah, Dylan, you and Graham not going to the game tomorrow?
Negative.
Okay, so
I'll be at home in the AC. Doing that.
But then we will get a live reaction though, from the home studio, not from outside of Gainesville, as people are storming out of Ben Hill Griffin and just depressed.
Maybe not depressed. We'll see. Obviously, people have less hope than probably ever before, it feels like, but certainly there's always a chance. All right, right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent. Take it away.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
All right, kickoff weekend and the numbers related to the high school cities with most NFL players in kickoff weekend. Number 1, Miami, had 17 NFL players, and this is kind of all raveling to a conversation we've had before, or leading to a conversation we've had before of kind of Florida and recruiting Florida, because there's a lot of players that are coming from Florida into the NFL.
The state of, not the
state of, yeah. Or no, Florida needing to recruit because a lot of players are out of the state of Florida are coming. So saying that. But when we go through, so I'll just go through the schools first, and then we'll get to the high schools. So college, the most, I don't think anybody is surprised about this. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Michigan have the top 5 most players in the NFL when it comes out of college. Beyond that, it's LSU, Penn State, Oklahoma, Washington, Stanford, Wisconsin, UCLA, Illinois, Mississippi, Auburn, Miami, South Carolina. So that now leading to my point, Florida not being on this list, even though that Florida had for the last 10 years have had the most players come out of the state of Florida that are now in the NFL, and multiple cities lead. Miami, Tampa on this list. Bradenton, we know why, obviously, with IMG and that. But a lot of, even when it comes to Atlanta's on this list, Charlotte, North Carolina, Birmingham, Alabama, there's a lot of other places that are close, but you have 3 cities in the state of Florida, and you are not on the list of players in the NFL as a college. And Florida State, not either.
Right, yeah. Okay.
And so Miami is, but obviously because they pump out the most too, so it's probably very easy for them to recruit down there. But I think it is something that Florida and Florida State have to start working on. When you have this many players out of the state of Florida that are in the NFL and starting on week 1, not just like on practice squads or fighting for a position, they are starting week 1 in the NFL, you should be able to recruit at a higher level in your own state.
Well, they try. Trust me. The problem is, as we know, like some of the talent, Mia, goes to a team like Ohio State. Some kids from Jacksonville, Florida decide they don't even want to go an hour and a half down the road, down south, or 3 hours west to Tallahassee, because they want to play for teams and they want to win national championships, and I can't say that I blame them.
Let's do this exercise again, shall we? A list of current Florida Gators in the National Football League, and you tell me who is the best current Gator alum in the National Football League.
Javon Dexter.
There we go. We already have Taylor's answer.
Jonathan Grenard is good. Ricky Pearsall could be good, but we have no idea at this point.
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts is probably the best.
Kyer Elam, Richie Garrard, Osiris Torrance, Eddie Pinheiro, Trent Brown.
I've never heard of Richie Garrard.
Richie Garrard was an offensive lineman. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was an offensive lineman on the team
that good.
3 years ago. Trent Brown, Zach Carter, Evan McPherson, Kadarius Toney.
McPherson's one of the best kickers.
Alex Anzalone.
Alex Anzalone had such a good game week 1, and he's always a consistent linebacker.
But is he really the best player from your alma mater right now in the National Football League?
Pitts.
Okay, so you think it's Kyle Pitts?
I would say Pitts won.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that when you go through
I think
this
Elam's
list,
good too, but yeah, I think Javon Dexter, honestly, is going to be a really, really good NFL player.
And by the way, this isn't even me going through which of those guys are actually from the state of Florida, because that's a whole other can of worms, as Taylor's tangent is suggesting, of are you even recruiting within your state, and in turn translating those players to the National Football League. And that's where, even with the dysfunction at Miami pre-Mario's arrival, if you were to go through a list of current Miami player, not Miami-born, University of Miami alums in the National Football League, the list just reads so much better than the list of Gators, and ditto to Florida State.
Does it now?
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll pull it up for you.
By the way, while you're doing that, injury news, thanks to our friend Mary Kay Cabot, who joined us earlier this week when it comes to the Browns. Jack Conklin is questionable, but Jedrick Wills, the left tackle, is out. He is not going to play on Sunday, so that is potentially good news for the Jaguars' defensive front.
Here is the list of current Miami players, and several of these you'll recognize, i.e. DJ Dallas, of course, the pride of Southeast Georgia, still the First Coast, but not Florida. I digress. DJ Dallas, Jaden Davis, Greg Rousseau, Tyreek Stevenson. I'm going through the highlights here. David Njoku.
Tyreek.
Michael Badgley. Brevin Jordan, Will Mallory, Deion Bush, Shaq Quarterman, Cam Kinchins, Braxton Berrios, Calais Campbell, Jalen Phillips, KJ Osborne, Leonard Taylor III, Rayshawn Jenkins, John Feliciano. Any of those names tickle your fancy?
Yeah, there's several good names in there.
Yeah, but I mean, I think of the big three, Florida State, Miami, Florida State probably right now has the best players in the NFL.
I would agree with that.
Which is interesting because Florida State and Miami have been
in turmoil.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But then again, the last couple seasons Florida has, but certainly going back to Dan Mullen, things were going well. So but all three schools, to your point, Taylor, and the point of the
Recruit
tangent,
Florida.
they certainly try, like I said, but
that's my point is be better. Like also play better football
win.
So you can get your guys out of your state.
You absolutely have to win
because it's embarrassing for your state. Like somebody wants to travel up north and play in the snow over staying an hour away from their school because you can't win football games. That's embarrassing.
A lot of them go to Georgia, go to Alabama, other schools that are in the Southeast, LSU, South Carolina, schools like that, because they don't necessarily want to go that far. But yes, some of the really good ones. Look at the Bosas.
Yeah.
The Bosas went to Ohio State. They decided not to play in the state of Florida. So it's obviously a case-by-case basis, but you're not going to have the best recruiting in the country until you win football games, and then you can't win football games because you don't have the best recruits.
So
that's
it's a
why you hit
cycle
the transfer
never
portal,
ending.
and then sometimes that works,
and you got to you got to be successful in the transfer portal and pay them, as Nick Saban said. This one was interesting too because it broke down by position. What position has the most out of each school in the NFL too? So the center position, Penn State, Wisconsin; guard, Michigan; tackle, Oklahoma. This one probably not a surprise. Tight end, Iowa and Notre Dame. QB, Alabama, North Carolina, Oklahoma. Running back, Alabama. Wide receiver, Alabama, USC. Defensive tackle, Alabama. Defensive end, Ohio State. Linebackers, Penn State, Wisconsin. Defensive back, Alabama. Punters, Penn State. Kickers, Notre Dame.
And you read a lot of Alabama. There's a reason that they've been winning championships because they produce elite talent at some of the most important positions. All right now we've got lunch for 4.
We do. Lunch for 4. Lunch on the ladies to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
That's a good prize on this Sunshine Turf Friday. We've got one segment to go here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Hello, all you Jacksonville sports fans. Don here from Taco Lou. If you're in the mood for some great tacos, cold Dos Equis, and maybe even a sip of some fine tequila, then the Lou is calling your name. Come out to Jack's Beach and experience what many have dubbed the #1 taco in the 904. There are plenty of great taco joints in town, and we're proud to have been around for this long, and we have only you, the fine people of Jacksonville, to thank for helping us grow and become who we are today. Cheers to you, Jacksonville, and thank you from the Lou crew. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and X to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Hey, Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey of the NFL, it's not a kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why we've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more, and please drink responsibly.
Get off the ladder and put on the helmet with Gutter Helmet of North Florida. We are family owned and manufactured locally. Cleaning your gutters is a dangerous and dirty job. That's why with Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. Water goes in your gutters while trash and debris go on the ground. It won't collect like filters do. Gutter Helmet protects. Call now for 10% off and a free gutter cleaning and tune-up with your purchase of Gutter Helmet. Call 904-762-7779.
Picture this. You know those little number counter thingies, the one with the rolling numbers that just keep going up and up and up? That's what the selection is like at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Not 100, not 200, not even 3, 4, or 500. Over 600 vehicles in one location. Let's break it down, shall we? Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That, my friends, is over 600 cars on the lot at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. And if you're looking for buying confidence, check this out. At Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, you get 60 days to love it or exchange it. Need a little credit help? Arlington has your back with their Credit for Everyone program to help you get financed. Why Arlington? The better question is, why not? Don't wait. Shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
It's a Monday morning must.
We actually found it!
Yes. Hall of Fame Monday with Tony Baselli. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Monday mornings at 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the drill on 1010XL.
Winning season is back, football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget about it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge cash rewards. And for a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. And now loyalty pays off with MyBookie Plus. The more you play, the more you win. Climb through tiers of loyalty rewards program to unlock even more epic promotions, exclusive giveaways, and bigger rewards. MyBookie, the lock of the century. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Green Law Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Green Law Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Green Law Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Green Law Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
I'm Ben from Beard's Diamonds. My father and I buy our stones direct from the diamond cutters. No middleman, no big company overhead, no commission salespeople, and we pass the savings on to you. Before you buy anywhere else, remember, Beard's Diamonds will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Clean air, cool air, both are extremely important. Trust Florida Home AC to deliver on both with their Remy Halo, the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and breathe clean and cool air.
This is Dr. Michael Iorio, internal medicine physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Trayvon Walker started off the season with a bang with 2 sacks against the Dolphins. Fellow edge rusher Josh Hines-Allen in the locker room this week on the hot start for Trayvon.
He's off to a great start, something that you want to, as any rusher, you want to start off hot. And so for him, it's just to keep going, stay relentless, which I know he is. And he can also win one-on-ones when the time's needed too. So I'm really excited, playing a little catch up right now. So I'm going to give me a big one here soon. Him and Eric both, but, that's what we're supposed to do.
Josh Hines Allen this week in the Jaguars locker room. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
We're going to begin the cool down with some shout-outs, closeouts as we get ready to wrap up the program and head towards the weekend. I wore my hat so I don't forget it. Shout out to our friends over at the ALS Association. Was so happy to join in the CEO Soak for a second straight year on Tuesday. They raised a ton of money for obviously a worthy cause, and a shout out to our friends at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, who of course are huge supporters. We actually lost one of JSO's own last year to ALS, and so I got to meet, if you saw my post, I got to meet the new patrol horse who is named after Officer Judge. His name is Judge, and so it was great to have them.
Not after Aaron.
Not after Aaron. Although Aaron and Juan Soto had a great game last night. Baseball season is still going on. It's so funny, Taylor. You can empathize. I have friends up north who are like texting me about like how the Yankees are doing, how the Marlins are doing, and I'm just like, yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't really play with our audience very well. And I do want to shout out the friends over at UNF as well. Excited next week to host the first ever UNF Women's Athletics Scholarship Luncheon in conjunction with JEA. And so a whole heck of a lot of good stuff cooking over there with the Ospreys as well.
Yeah, I think that looking ahead to this weekend of football, I mentioned on Wednesday on my tangent how 6 of the NFL games are team versus team that had both won in week 1. This is the most since 1970. So a lot of good football games when it comes to the NFL. And I know maybe not the flashiest college football games, but I still think for a team like Florida how important it is, and also kind of seeing what it looks like with DJ Lagway and giving them some hope to move on, and for Billy Napier's sake that it goes well. But I think that it's this time of year where you're just really figuring out what teams actually are, and I think that's a big thing. Even when it comes to the Jags and Browns, and both of these teams coming in, you get a little bit more of an indication of what their offense can look like, what the defenses can kind of continue on. Because we saw Miami last night, and they did not look good against the Bills, even pre-Tua getting injured or getting his concussion. And so now that starts to make your mind click of like, okay, well, did the Jags almost beat a good Miami team, or did the Jags lose to a bad Miami team? You're trying to figure those things out, and within the next couple weeks, you really start to sort those out for both college football and NFL, and I think that's why these first 4 weeks are really fun when it comes to both leagues.
I actually had that thought in my mind, the meme of like, you won, but what did it cost? Everything. Yeah. Like, that's all I could think is like the Dolphins got to beat the Jags in week 1, but what did it cost? Yeah. Tua and everything.
Well, but I mean, they were able to win, and he was fine that game.
Yeah. No, but I'm talking long term here. Yeah. But flags fly forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Tua Tagovailoa and the concussion is a story to watch. And what does he decide? I know Mike McDaniel met with reporters this morning and said he called Tua and he was still asleep, and that was, I want to say, at like 11 o'clock. So we'll see what the future holds for him. They decided they're going to ride with Skylar Thompson for all that's worth, and then we'll see what they do as far as adding a backup goes. But here, as far as injuries are concerned, Darnell Savage likely out on Sunday with that quad injury that he suffered in practice yesterday. And as we just told you in the last segment, Jack Conklin will play he's questionable, but it sounds like he will play for the Browns, and we don't know if he'll play left tackle or right tackle. And then Jedrick Wills, the usual left tackle, is out. So I do think that's really an important development. Whether Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith are healthy, we'll see. They're both going to play, though. That's what it seems like from following along with Mary Kay Cabot at practice and things like that. Look, this is a massive game for the Jaguars to get back on track if they want to make the playoffs. It's not a must-win. I'm not going to say that. But it's an incredibly important game for their confidence. To play at home at Trevor Bank, at the end of the day, this game for Doug Peterson and for all the people that said and believe that the Jaguars absolutely should have had that game last week, this one is important to get off the mat.
What was the stat that Mary Kay Cabot had for us? 10% of teams that start 0-2 actually make the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's 11.5%.
Right. We understand that stat is skewed because, i.e., not to put this ill will on them, but like the Carolina Panthers starting 0-2 is that the same thing as one of the two teams playing at Trevor Bank Stadium on Sunday starting 0-2, or even if we go to that Colts-Packers games, one of those two teams is going to walk out of that stadium 0-2.
Yeah.
And I think either of them is considered a playoff contender. And
Same
so,
with Jets and Titans.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe not that one so much.
Well,
but
not playoff contender, but certainly one of those teams is going to be 0-2, whether it's the Jets or the
Correct, but that's
Titans.
my point, is that there's still teams, I think, especially with 7 teams, with 7 spots in both the AFC and NFC, I think you're going to see more teams start 0-2 and then eventually make the postseason. The Texans started 0-2 last year, for crying out loud, but it is certainly a stat that needs to be not only in the back of your heads if you're the Jags, and that shouldn't force you to play scared, but it should be something that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put yourself even further behind the 8 ball, knowing you have difficult road trips each of the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I think that 11% is a number that you should look at and can look at because, yeah, you named a couple exceptions, and we can talk about Joe Burrow and the Bengals too, that because they had started 0-2 also, and then obviously made a deep run. But that's the 11%. You're not rattling off 6-7 teams each year that will start 0-2. You're talking about teams like the Panthers. You're talking about teams like the Patriots. Usually, at least the last couple years, you're talking about teams like the Bears, the last few seasons. And so those are ones that don't make the postseason because when you can't win your first couple games out the gate, when everybody's trying to figure out stuff, then it's usually not a good sign. But I do think that, especially in this weekend, when you're playing a team who is half their starters are hurt, honestly, right now, banged up in some form or fashion. The quarterback hasn't been playing well, and they're missing probably their best weapon in Njoku. There's a lot of things that you can point to that you should, and you absolutely should win this game.
Doug Peterson will join Frank Frangie at 4:05 this afternoon, so I know people got to hear from the coach yesterday. During the Doug Peterson show, you'll also get to hear him with Frank Frangie at 4:05 today. Let's get into a couple fun superlatives. We ran out of time last week to do this for the NFL season ahead, but let's start with the player most likely to shotgun a beer on stage. Taylor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I feel like this one automatically makes me just go to some offensive lineman.
Okay.
That's what my mind goes to. I feel like, obviously, like a Travis Kelce, but I feel like that's almost too obvious. So there's multiple offensive linemen that popped in my head that I was like, okay, which one do I want to pick? Because there's so many throughout the league that my mind goes to. And even like a Jason Kelce, and he's not even there anymore. So I was trying, I don't even know if I know a specific, because I just want to say it's one of these big, burly offensive linemen are up there shotgunning beers at some point, and that's where my mind went. So I'd have to go through like the entire league and be like, which one now do I think would be that? But that's the position that pops out to me.
I will say this, not only because he's a friend of me and a friend of the program, but because I actually saw him shotgun a beer on stage with Luke Combs. So I will give Tristan Wirfs
there you go.
all the credit, because that was certainly a surreal moment, especially reminding myself that at the time, so he's 25, 26 now, so he was like 23.
Yeah.
Like, 24, I guess, 24 at the time. Like, can you imagine, like 24 years old, you're on stage, I mean, granted, at 21, you win a Super Bowl blocking for Tom Brady's blindside, but at the same time, it's just crazy to think about. So yeah, I will say it because I've literally seen it.
I also think an easy one, obvious one too, is Gardner Minshew. I remember at practice, Gardner Minshew shotgunning the Gatorades out of a can.
Well, I went with the very obvious answer because to me, my mind immediately went to the Kelce brothers. And Travis Kelce now gallivants across the world, obviously, with his famous girlfriend. But he's also somebody who I think is, and this I'll give him as a compliment, because there's a lot of negative things I feel like we could say about him in general, but he seems to really enjoy his life.
Yeah.
And you don't always assess that with certain football players. So I'll say Kelce. And then player most likely to run for president, Mia, who you got?
Ooh, most likely to run for president. Well, running for president in this day and age is a little bit different than it was once upon a time, ladies. So now I got to think on that one. I was gonna be funny about it and say Aaron.
You can?
I was gonna say Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
just because
I thought about him.
Yeah, just to be funny about it. But no, I mean,
he was once rumored
he's
to
a
be
liar.
a
He's
vice
a politician.
president.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well said. I mean, the obvious is like Patrick Mahomes at this current juncture.
Does he have the voice for it though?
I mean, does anybody have the voice for it? Like, who's a politician? I mean, look, like again, I'm not going to comment. Like, I mean, this is not just recent politics either. This is over the last like 20 years. Like, you can go back in time, and there's a couple guys who are propped up in a corner, and I'm like, are you still winning elected office? Anyways, I would say any of those guys who like. They have transcended. So that's why a Mahomes or a Kelsey would be the obvious one. And I think they say the right things. They've done a good job of balancing walking the line for the most part.
Yeah. I think my mind went to Aaron Rodgers right away just because he has that kind of like shady personality. He kind of like cares about himself the most, but he pretends he cares about everybody else.
We really went down a slippery slope here, Lauren. You're throwing these superlatives out at us, and I'm like, I gotta
Taylor
be careful.
came up with them. I'm just repeating what she came up with. And to take you behind the curtain, in the original group text, Taylor's text for the first one was, "Who's most likely to shotgun a bear on stage?" And I was like, I guess we're
my
going to
phone
go
auto corrects things to bear.
Yeah, we're going to go to Brandon Linder in that case, a former NFL player.
331 has suggested Brock Purdy. Oh, we have
president.
Yes.
I'll give mine before you give the winner. Mine is Josh Allen because Josh Allen, who plays for the Bills, because he's had to deal with a lot of turmoil there.
Yeah.
And they've had to turn the page, and I feel like he's done a good job with that.
The winner is 416, who says Calais Campbell should be the president of the United States.
I would vote for Calais.
Yes, I would vote for Calais yesterday. Thank you, 416. He's already the mayor. He already has credentials. Yes, 10,000 times yes.
All right, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
Matt, I complained earlier that there are 4 college football games that will be kicking off at either noon or 12:45 tomorrow, and I don't have enough TVs for all of those games.
Laptop. Do you have 2 TVs?
2 TVs. I'll have the laptop. But can't they spread it out for us? Like put one of those at night? Opposite
First
Georgia,
off,
Kentucky?
I walked in and Taylor's crying. What are you guys doing?
I was laughing.
She was doing like superlatives of NFL players, and we went down the slippery slope of what NFL players should run for president, to which we were having a good laugh about like, oh, well, what do you think of when you think of someone who, is a politician? Right. So we kind of went down that slippery slope. So that's why she was
You know what I've just learned, by the way?
Yeah.
You can, and I know this has been around for a while, so excuse me, but they have these things where you can put like 2 more screens attached to your laptop.
Well, how about a thing
so you can actually do that if you want to watch them.
Right, or a YouTube TV and a quad box is what I said to her too.
Yeah, and that's not my favorite way to watch. I like to really lock into games. So I'll watch Florida State and Memphis, and then I'll watch Alabama, Wisconsin. The other games I'll just check in on.
So I just got that thing with the laptop.
Did you?
So this weekend will be my first moment of
hell yeah.
That in front of me. So 3 games, and then 1 big screen, and then a little screen next to the big screen.
Yep. That reminds
so
me
I can have
of
as many as 5 going.
What's the volume on?
So you guys all suck it, okay?
What's the volume on? Which game?
Depending.
Yeah, you rotate it?
Depending.
Okay.
What game are you most looking forward to then this weekend?
I mean, I can't wait to see Alabama go to Wisconsin just because Alabama's haven't been there in a while. I don't think they've ever been there, actually. I think this is the first time at Camp Randall.
And it's either that or the first time since like 1927 or something
like that.
Yeah.
Right. Because the last time they played was in a kickoff classic of some sort.
It's a neutral site.
Yeah. So I want to see Kalen DeBoer with that team on the road for the first time. Like what do they do? How do they react? That's a loud place. It's a difficult place to play. There might be some of that rain from, what was the hurricane again? What was the name of the hurricane again?
Francine or something like that?
Yeah. There might be some of that up there, which will make it very interesting as well. So, yeah, let's see how Alabama reacts.
Underrated college town, Madison.
Oh, my God, one of the best.
It reminds me, when you're talking about all the TVs.
Oh, no, it is. Right on the
Taylor, even you, man, the
beautiful.
food is just unreal. Like, I would put their food
the cheeses
up against
good.
Anybody.
It's literally, it's a beautiful city, too.
Yeah.
Really
Pat Dooley always on Saturdays tweets out his vantage point if he's not at the swamp. And so I feel like that reminds me of that. Coming up on Sunday, if it's a messy, sloppy type of weather game, Jags-Browns, that favors whom? The Browns?
They got to win. I don't know who it favors. It's must win. It's must win for the Jags. It's must win for the Gators. It's must win for the Knowles. All 3 of them. All 3 of them they're all 3 in deep.
Doo-doo.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mia.
Hot seat territory.
We had to end the political conversation with some doo-doo because that's much more PG for the audience.
Political? You guys got into politics?
Who's the NFL player that would most likely run for president? It was just supposed to be a fun thing.
Yeah.
But
and Taylor and I started thinking, and we were like, oh, no.
This can get messy quick.
Kelsey.
That's what I said.
Then his girlfriend.
Travis?
Yeah.
Oh. See, I actually thinking about it, I feel like people would vote for Jason over Travis.
Well, yeah, because Jason's the brains of the operation.
Yeah. Travis has the big vote with it.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. It's the size of Mahomes, too.
Yeah, same thing.
All right, Matt, we'll be listening. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, ladies.
All right, XL Primetime is coming up next for Taylor Dahl, for Mia O'Brien, for Dylan Denmark, who did a great job filling in for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks. We'll be back with you on Monday, and I said this last week, hopefully a victory Monday. It really needed to be a victory Monday, this upcoming Monday as the Jaguars play host to the Browns. It is 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets